Go ahead, get everything in motion with the potion. Okay, boo, yeah. Real spill pod in the house. What's the dizzle? Go ahead, do a sound check on YouTube. We are in the game, folks. We are officially in the game. Let's see if I got the notification on my phone. We are notified. So we got 2 of the 3 out the way. All we need is 30 more seconds. All right, let me see something. Can you hear me now? Go ahead, raise that volume up. Can you hear me now, Real Spill? Let me see. Bunker, mode that, get that a better angle. Let me see if you can hear me now. Anybody in the YouTube? Nobody in the YouTube yet? Just moving things around, making sure everything is working. Shout out to whoever in the YouTube. Please get in the comments. If you see me, say something. It's still no audio on what you call that? That's crazy. It should be matter of fact, let me see something. Okay, that's silent. You can't hear me on Instagram. I wonder if I should just start a whole nother live. Okay, I've been live for a minute and a half there, so I can start the show there. But that's a trip because that is my laptop audio. But my phone, I don't know. Okay, I'm good. All right, for sure. Okay, so somebody hit the like button and left. That's crazy. Let me go ahead and get the show started though. What's going on, KC? Hope you got your cup on, Tom. And then there was bass. Good evening, motherfuckers and motherfuckers. This is your host, Uncle Dolemite of the Too Much Game Podcast, live from the sanctuary once again. Today's episode, it's going to be about effective communication. More specifically, conscious communication. Being very attentive of how you communicate to people. Making sure that they understand when you tell them what you're trying to tell them. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you say to a person, you saying it for the person. So the importance of you actually saying something is about how they receive it more than how you say it. Because if you don't say what you say effectively, they won't understand. And if they don't understand, there was no point in you saying it in the first place. What's the motherfucking deal? Scotian with the potion up in this motherfucker. The ism in the bill from north of that border. What you say? Been a minute. I've been missing the show, my brother. Yeah, man. I'm real sporadic with the time, so it'd be real difficult for people to catch the show sometimes because last week I didn't record. It was my little cousin's birthday, so being that I got wrapped up in the birthday festivities, I was at my little cousin's birthday party, so I missed the episode. But my nigga Scotian with the potion. What's the motherfucking deal? Let's see. What's up? Okay, been a minute. Blessings for the blessings, bro. Oh yeah, nigga, And speaking of that, speaking of the ism, Monday night, tomorrow night, I'm hosting Pimpin' Ken birthday party. Shout out to Pimpin' Ken. We out there for BET weekend. I think either downtown LA or Hollywood. I'm not sure the specific location, but if you follow me on Instagram, I'm hosting Pimpin' Ken birthday party. It's gonna be a whole lot of motherfucking ism in the building tomorrow night, my nigga in LA for BET, so it's gonna be cracking. But yeah, nigga, like I said, nigga, today's episode is gonna be about, conscious communication, my nigga. Like understanding that when you trying to tell somebody something, it's vitally important to make sure that it's not about what you meant to say, but how they received what you said. A lot of times, motherfuckers got this like I said what I said type of attitude. Like, oh nigga, I said it, nigga. It's up to you to understand or interpret what I said. And it's like I never go out of my way to be misunderstood. I never like to be misunderstood. I like to speak as simply as possible so as many people can understand what I'm saying as possible. Like the reason that I don't communicate in the way that like some people feel like because they use big ass words, they sound smarter. And they don't really realize that all you doing is confusing the person who you talking to. Like um his name was Booker T. Coleman. I think nowadays he called himself Kaba Kamin. But he has said, like, nigga, the best teachers are the people who can explain complex concepts to simple minds. If you in a classroom with a teacher and he makes you feel more confused after he's trying to teach you a lesson, that's not a good teacher. The best teachers can teach very complex concepts to a child. He can explain rocket science to a fucking toddler because he's a great teacher. But if I'm trying to teach you fucking multiplication and you already know math, but the way that I teach it, you don't understand, I'm a terrible fucking teacher. So that's the thing. Like you want to make sure that when you communicate things to people, they understand what you're saying. That's the whole fucking point of communication. The in communication is two people coming to a fucking understanding. So when it comes to how you tell people things, what you tell people, like it's just as important how you say shit as what you say. The fact that you want to make sure that whatever you're trying to convey to a person, they understand clearly, my nigga. Like that's the thing. Like when it come to me and just how I communicate, like I like to make sure that people understood what I meant when I said what I said. Like a lot of people, a lot of shit gets lost in translation when you have people feeling like, okay, I heard what you said. A lot of times people will hear what you say and completely miss what you trying to say. They completely miss the point of everything you said. Whether that be a difference in perspective, a difference in level of intelligence, a difference in communication style. Some people they visual learners. Some people are listeners. Some people are readers. Some motherfuckers they process things slowly. So you might be talking at a pace that you think is okay, but they think nigga you talking too fucking fast. They don't understand what the fuck you talking about. They don't know what you trying to say because you blowing through shit. So like when it comes to me and how I communicate, like the reason that a lot of people who know me personally know, like I talk slow in person. On the podcast, I try to keep it at a faster pace because I know it get boring if I talk too slow. But when I talk to motherfuckers in person, nigga, I'm very white with that shit, nigga. I be talking slow because I want you to understand every word that I said. And even sometimes for confirmation, my nigga, like you know what I mean? 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 Like I want you to know what I mean when I say what I say. That's why a lot of times I'll take breaks and be like, you feel me? You understand what I'm saying? Like I want to know that you understand what I'm saying. Cause a lot of times, and this is a problem with people, and this is a habit that a lot of people should break. Like this is also something that me personally, like a habit that I had to break. People will be saying shit to me and I'll be quick to be like, yep, 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 mm-hmm. I don't know what the fuck you said, nigga. I'm just trying to get you to shut the fuck up. But I might have missed something important because I just wasn't fucking listening, my nigga. That shit happened today. I was on a hike with Ashley and Maury Richardson. Shout out to Ashley from Swanye. We did Swanye last night. That shit was cracking. But nigga, that nigga Maury was reading some shit out of a book because when we got to the top of the hike, she was like, yeah, when I get to the top of the mountain after the hike, I like to read, this little book of affirmations and shit like that. So that nigga read that shit. She looked at me like, what did that mean to you, Dolemite? I'm like, I have no fucking clue what the fuck that nigga said. I wasn't listening at all. But the thing is, like I said, with the importance of communication and understanding, I can now admit that I wasn't listening or I didn't understand what you said. A lot of times at the people don't like to feel like they stupid or look like they stupid. So when somebody says something, instead of you being like, I didn't really catch what you said or I didn't really understand what you said, we just act like we got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I heard you. Yeah, I got it. And that's why a lot of motherfuckers have communication breakdowns, because instead of you being able to admit that you didn't understand what I said, or you didn't really get how I said it or how I meant it, you just going about your business like you got it and you didn't. And that's why motherfuckers have breakdowns. And what you say, real spill, they got words, not just comprehension. And that's the thing. Like, sometimes when it comes to communication, and the way that certain people learn, nigga, sometimes you gotta give an actual example, my nigga. Like, if y'all listen to this show a lot, what's going on, P3? Like, if you listen to this show, y'all know I use a lot of analogies. I'm real big on analogies. Just like how Jesus in the Bible always used proverbs to, express itself, because I want for it to be an example that the person that I'm talking to can understand. Right? So like, if I know that a lot of my audience is younger men, I use a lot of sports references and sports analogies, because most men, most young men, boys, we've all played sports, we've all watched sports. So I could use something to relate what I'm trying to say to a person who understands sports. Just like if I'm talking to a female, and I might relate that shit to something that got to do with hair, or a TV show that I know women watch, or some type of dance, or something Beyonce did, or some historical reference, or something from pop culture. Like, I try to communicate in a way that is effective to my audience. Because like I said, nigga, like, I tell motherfuckers about, like, me personally as a person. Like, nigga, don't confuse the fact that I convey my words very simply with me being simple minded, or me being slow, or me being less intelligent. Because some people think that because you don't use big ass words, or because I don't speak in proper English and I don't pronounce all of the letters when I say certain things, I'm not talking like basically a white person. Somehow I'm less intelligent. No, nigga, I just speak to my audience. I like to speak in terminology that the motherfuckers who I'm talking to understand, especially because, like, conversations that I've had in college with a professor, my nigga. Just because I talk like this don't mean that you don't understand what the fuck I'm saying. I don't have to speak in a certain vernacular for you to gauge my intelligence. Gauge my intelligence about what I'm saying, not how I say it or what words I'm using. That shit is irrelevant. A lot of people like to try to put themselves in on a higher plane because they know more fucking vocab words than you do. And that shit don't fucking matter, my nigga. Fuck them big ass words, my nigga. Because a whole lot of people who know them big ass words ain't intelligent at all. What's going on? 12 Cal and King German. What he say? NBA finals on and too much game on. Sounds about right. I'm telling you, nigga, nigga, I don't be giving a fuck, nigga. Sorry. If your ass is watching the finals, nigga, you don't gotta listen to the finals. Listen to this motherfucker and turn the finals on to the TV. And I heard it's been phenomenal playoffs this year too. Nigga, my coworker called me all the time. Man, you ain't watching these playoffs. You ain't watching these playoffs. Nigga, I don't even have television, my nigga. I wouldn't even know where to watch the goddamn finals, my nigga. I don't got TV like that. What's going on, my nigga Baylor? BTG for president. Open run with BTG motherfucking podcast. What he say? Yeah, Jeremy, I'm watching and listening. Nigga, that's the fucking thing, my nigga. Y'all niggas know damn well the audio of the finals don't matter. It is what it is, my nigga. Shout out to motherfucking Tyrese Halliburton, because I know I'm supposed to be rooting for the West, because OKC is the Western team. But the way Tyrese Halliburton been balling, I want to see Tyrese Halliburton win a motherfucking ring. I ain't gonna front, my nigga. What he say? Same place you watch the fights. Yeah, I watch that shit on all type of illegal shit. But when you do that, nigga, it don't be right. What he say, man? Come get some real game instead of playing games. Exactly, and that's the thing, because like I said, nigga, like, back to what I was saying. The reason that I communicate the way that I do, as simple as I do, is because I want for a broad audience to be able to understand what I'm saying. And that goes back to how you communicate with people. Like, you always want to make sure that the people that you're speaking to understand what you're trying to say. Not even so much the words, but literally the message, my nigga. Because you can word something however you want to. That's not to guarantee that people are going to understand what you're saying. Like something that we was talking about on the hike. Like literally, my nigga, some people are determined to misunderstand what you're saying. Like you got to know your audience just as much as what you saying and what you trying to say. Nigga, sometimes you might even have to like something that I've practiced before, which is, nigga, if I know that you don't like me, sometimes I might have to say what I gotta say to you through another person. Nigga, I'll go tell somebody who I know you like so they can tell you, because I know that you'll receive it a lot better than if I was to say it. Like I used to do that shit with my kids' mom all the time. Nigga, if we beefing and I know you cool with somebody and I don't got no problem with them, I'll tell them to tell you because I know you'll receive it when they tell you. But if I say it somehow because you got me painted as a villain in your head, you don't want to hear it from me. So I'll tell that motherfucker and I'll let them tell you. And that's the thing, nigga, when it comes to how you communicate with people, you got to find effective ways of communicating, even when somebody don't want to hear what you got to say. And what you say, 12 Cal Tyrese been trying to bring light skin back. Exactly, my nigga. That nigga definitely putting on for light skin niggas. So I'm rooting for Tyrese Halliburton. What my mom say, mom's in the building. Shout out to my mom in this motherfucker. My mom up in this motherfucker. But like I said, my nigga, like, when it comes to effective communication, like you gotta find ways to make sure that the person that you're trying to convey your message to understands. Because again, nigga, like you can literally say what you want to say, how you want to say it. But it's a fucking waste of breath if the motherfucker who you talking to don't get what you're trying to say, or don't get how you trying to say it, or the message that you're saying. Because like I said, my nigga, the reason that you saying what you saying to who you saying it to is so they understand what you're trying to say. So if you're talking in a way that, oh, they heard what I said, they understood what I said, you don't know that, my nigga. Like I always strive to make sure that whoever I'm talking to understands what I'm saying as well as what I'm trying to say when I say what I say. Because this is a big thing. What's going on? Aladdin Saddam, my motherfucking brother from Kansas City, my nigga. But like I said, like this goes to like men and women, my nigga. Like a lot of times women speaking like implications damn near. Like women like to read between the lines. Like the way men communicate is, I said that I'm hungry and I want a sandwich. The way a woman understands it is like, he's hungry because this. He's saying that he's hungry and he wants a sandwich because I should have known to make him a sandwich. So I think that he's trying to tell me that, I didn't feed him earlier. So now he's telling me he's hungry because of this. Like women will hear a very simple thing and they would try to draw 5 different meanings from some simple shit. All I told you was I was hungry and I wanted a fucking sandwich. But you understood it as, well, if you would have made me a sandwich 50 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, I wouldn't be hungry and want a sandwich. And it's like, no, I simply was just telling you that I wanted a fucking sandwich. But your understanding was something completely different than what the fuck I said. So sometimes when it comes to, certain people who you talking to, nigga, you gotta explain shit different, my nigga. What's going on? Pork from the motherfucking cool out corner. And what you say, real spill. Like you said, sometimes they just don't want to get it. And that's the fucking thing. Like different people communicate different. Different people understand different. So when you trying to communicate with people, like you always got to keep your audience in mind. Whether that be your girl, your friend, your kids, especially us as parents. We can't talk to our kids like we talk to our friends. We can't talk to our kids like we talk to adults. You can't talk to little kids how you talk to big kids. That's the same with adults, my nigga. You can't talk to a nigga in prison the same way you talk to a nigga who graduated college. You can't talk to a female the same way you talk to a man. You can't talk to a bougie female the same way you talk to a ratchet. But effective communication is understanding who you're talking to. Understanding their communication style. Because it's not to say that a nigga who just got out of prison is less intelligent than a nigga who just got out of college. Cause I know some ex-cons that's way more intelligent than some of the motherfuckers who I know who got master's degrees, my nigga. I know some stupid motherfuckers who got a fucking master's degree. Damn near said some bullshit. What you say, Baylor, before I put my foot in my mouth? Pause. Tyrese moved up in the rankings on the light skin scale. LOL. He hit one more game winner and he might be crowned king light bright. Yeah, nigga, you know, it's him, Chris Brown, and Steph Curry, nigga. Them niggas is like the holy trinity of light skin niggas now. We don't acknowledge Drake, my nigga. Drake is pink. What he say? Women definitely do that shit. I have to tell them that it ain't that deep, baby. You know, because the thing is, again, like, it's not that the way that women communicate is incorrect. It's just that the way that women communicate is different because they understand each other when they talk. You know, we understand them when they talk. But, you know, women are more about what you mean than what you say. Like, women are always trying to find a deeper meaning to what you're saying. So to us as men, we just like listen to the words. The words are what's important. Women like to read between the lines. Women like to be like, well, when you said that, I thought you meant this. No, I meant what the fuck I said. And no matter how many times you tell a woman you mean what you say, she's gonna look for what you meant when you said what you said instead of looking at what the fuck you said. Because to women, it's always a different meaning. You know, you ask a woman, what's wrong? Nothing. Nigga, nothing can mean 200 different things depending on how they say nothing. You should have knew by the look on my face that it was something wrong. You should have knew by my tone that something was wrong. You should have knew by the fact that I didn't come home at 3 in the afternoon, something was wrong. Like, nigga, they just communicate different, my nigga. What's going on, El Patron, Mike? And what you say, 12 cows, some people listen only to respond to what you said instead of hearing you. Exactly, because that's also a thing, my nigga. Like, again, when it comes to effective communication, listening is just as important as talking, if not more important. Because in any exchange of ideas, you want to understand what they're trying to say. You know, that's why sometimes when I talk to people, like, nigga, I'll repeat back what they so what you're saying is this, especially when I'm having a debate with somebody. Oh, nigga, so what you're saying is this. Because a lot of times when you're engaged in debate, especially a heated debate, motherfuckers like to try to, you know, talk over your head and confuse you and get you out of character. You know, sometimes, like I always say, once a debate becomes an argument, it's because somebody ran out of ideas. You know, once it starts to become personal, it's because somebody's losing. You know, you lack the information, so now you're trying to fuck up my energy, or you trying to dissipate my point, or you trying to get me out of character, so you can feel like you won. Because, like I tell people, if you see two people arguing, the one who's yelling is losing. The one who's calling names is losing. You know, so when it comes to me, when I get in debate, a lot of times, in order to come to an understanding, I'm like, so what you're saying is this. So what you're saying is Michael Jordan is better just because of his rings. So that's what you're saying, right? Like, I want to make sure we all understand, for the record, this is what you're trying to say. You know, so when motherfuckers is trying to over talk you and scream at you and call you out your name, it's because they ran out of ideas. They ran out of information. They ran out of solid points to bring to the table. So now they bringing some bullshit. So, nigga, oh, well, we can fight. Oh, okay. It's because you can't match me intellectually. So now you want to try to, you know, beat me physically or beat me in a personal back and forth. And it's at that point, you know, like I always say, my nigga, it's time to walk away. You know, nigga, once the debate changes from a debate to an argument, as a grown ass man, I just politely walk away. Okay, you enjoy your day, my nigga. I hope that all goes well for you. But at this point, I got better shit going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, exit stage left, because at this point you wasting my fucking time. And what he say, man, niggas in jail vocabulary can keep up with top scholars. Exactly. You know, and that's the fucking thing, dog. Like, you can't judge a motherfucker's intelligence by how much they was in school, because some niggas is just good at being a fucking student. It's not that they intellectually advanced. It's that they know how to remember what the teacher told them and write it down on a piece of paper. That don't make them intelligent. A lot of motherfuckers in school have no critical thinking skills. They don't have no logic outside of what the teacher told them. They just good at repeating information that they was given. You know, they just good at writing that shit down on a piece of paper after a certain amount of time. Like Albert Einstein said, education is what's left after you forget everything you learned in school. A lot of motherfuckers have no education if that's what education is. They're very good at telling you what they learned from their teachers, but outside of that, they ain't got shit going on. And what you say, Baylor? Check in on your strong, funny, supportive friends. Men's mental wealth. Yeah, it's men's mental health month. Shout out to that shit. Like as men, like it's very important to do those check-ins on your friends as well as on yourself, my nigga. Like I'm a big advocate of therapy. Like I believe that therapy is important, especially in the black community, because a lot of us nigga, like, we don't fuck with therapy. Niggas be thinking they need everything but therapy. Niggas think everything except therapy is therapy. Niggas think the barbershop is therapy. They think the PlayStation is motherfucking therapy. They think driving up the motherfucking street is therapy. This niggas think beating they goddamn girl up is therapy. My nigga, take your ass and go see somebody. Go speak to a professional. Go read a book or something, my nigga. Like, find you a cool outlet. But it's nothing wrong with going to therapy, nigga. Therapy don't mean you crazy, nigga. Therapy means that you take your mental health serious. Like, there are things that are therapeutic, but that don't make them therapy. That's two different things, my nigga. Like, I look at this shit as being very therapeutic. This is an outlet. This is something that helps me get my thoughts out. But at the same time, I know, nigga, this ain't no replacement for actually speaking to somebody who their profession is to help me, to fix my mental health. What's going on? Heaven from the Heaven's World podcast up in this motherfucker. How you doing, Heaven? And that's the fucking thing. Like, there are things that are therapeutic. I engage in a whole lot of activities that I deem to be therapeutic. Same like I say, my nigga, like, I meditate a lot. Like, there's times I just sit in my room, my nigga, in silence, just to not be fucked with. I might put on some jazz or like some calm music and just literally just vibe out, my nigga. Like, just be alone in my thoughts. Do self-reflection, self-analysis, my nigga. Like, just get my motherfucking mind right, dog. But I'm all about therapy. I'm all for therapy, my nigga. Like I always say, nigga, this show is about keeping your motherfucking mental health together. Because it's so much easier to maintain your mental health than to get it back after it's all fucked off. Oh, her birthday is Wednesday the 11th. Happy motherfucking C-Day Heaven. That's crazy. We got a motherfucking show on the 11th too. Shout out to that shit. We gonna be in Rancho. Gotta see what Heaven doing for her birthday. I might fuck around and slide up on her after my motherfucking show on Wednesday. That shit'll be cracking. Shout out to Heaven. But yeah, nigga, like, back to what I was saying with, like, nigga, effective communication, my nigga. Like, that shit is important. Like I say, listening is just as important as what you have to say out your motherfucking mouth, dog. Like, that's a big fucking thing. Like, motherfuckers be feeling like communication, like some people, I'm a great communicator. No, you're a great talker. If you're not a good listener, you're not a good communicator, my nigga. Because at the end of the day, great communication is when two people come to an understanding based on what the other person had to say, my nigga. I understood what you was trying to say. You understood what I was trying to say. That's an effective conversation. If I just got a gang of shit off my chest, but I don't know how you feel, that shit don't motherfucking matter. And what you say, the homie D, where did everybody go? That's how you know you talking some real shit. Man, it's, Instagram be on some bullshit, homie. That's all that shit is, nigga. Instagram, they be fucking up the numbers. But like I said, what he say, motherfuckers suck at listening and wonder why everything chaotic for them. Exactly, because that's the thing. And like, it goes back to a point that I feel like 12 Kyle was making. Like, motherfuckers, they don't even listen to understand. They listen to hear you stop so they can say what they gotta say. That's not effective communication. Motherfuckers are literally zone out because they so focused on the point that they trying to make that they don't hear what you trying to say. That's why sometimes your ass will be in an argument with a motherfucker and y'all will literally be saying the same shit in different ways. I done seen motherfuckers literally yelling at each other and they saying the same shit to each other. These niggas is literally making the same fucking point, but from a different fucking perspective. It's just like a picture that I saw where one nigga was standing right here, the other nigga was standing right there. He sees a 6, he sees a 9. Neither one of these niggas is wrong, but they arguing like a motherfucker. And it's like, nigga, if you would take time to sit back and understand that this motherfucker might be coming from a different perspective, but they're not incorrect. Like, I could see something one way and you could see something another way, and neither one of us is wrong. Again, like, nigga, sometimes you just got to sit back and listen. If you understand that different people have different perspectives on certain things, you get a lot further in your communication. A lot of motherfuckers, they might not be as educated as you. They might not be from the same background as you. They might not understand that you're having a certain type of day and they having a certain type of day. So you might have had the greatest intentions when you said what you said, but they took it wrong because they from a different background, or they from a different culture, or just they just ain't having a type of day where that's what they want to hear right now. Like, when somebody loses a family member or goes through a great tragedy, you might have the best intentions by telling them, hey man, just keep your head up. Life goes on. But they might have just lost the closest motherfucker in the world to them. They don't want to hear that shit right now. Like, you might have good intentions by saying that shit, but that ain't what the fuck they want to hear. Oh man, I'm sorry for your loss, man. Sometimes they don't want to hear that shit. Sometimes you catch a motherfucker coming into the job at 5 in the morning and you, hey man, good morning. Have a great morning. They don't want to hear that shit, my nigga. It ain't all about your fucking intentions, my nigga. Sometimes it's literally about understanding where they're coming from at the moment and meeting them where they at. Same with debates, my nigga. Like, you not finna debate no nigga from Chicago on anybody being better than Michael Jordan. It's real difficult for you to debate a motherfucker who was born in 1960, 70, anything, that there's anybody better than Michael Jordan, my nigga. It's like you just wasting your fucking time. So certain times, nigga, once a debate becomes an argument, it's just like we just gonna have to agree to disagree. And there's nothing wrong with that neither. Sometimes, nigga, when you communicate with motherfuckers, you gotta understand that, nigga, some people just don't want to hear certain shit. It just is what it is. Like, we did the best that we could with what we had, but some people ain't to be communicated with in certain settings. So sometimes it's okay to just say, you know what, we just gonna agree to disagree. I made my point, you made yours. I understand that you're standing on that side of the argument and I'm standing on this side of the argument, and we just gonna move on like two grown ass mature adults. Every time, everybody's not meant to agree on everything. And that's, again, you being conscious with your communication. That's why I named the show Conscious Communication, because with the fact that you want to be effective in your communication, you have to be conscious in order to be effective. And in your consciousness, you should be conscious on how you're coming off. Again, your intent is cool, but you might have came off wrong. Pause. Same with, like, what's up? Nigga, I could say what's up and it can mean I want to fight. I could say what's up and it can mean what's going on the TV. I could say what's up and it can mean where's my money. Nigga, what's up can mean 1,000 things. So I might have been saying what's up, meaning, hey, how you doing? You might have took what's up as, do you want to fight? Like, what's up could be fighting words. So your tone is very important. And again, you got to be conscious in your tone. You got to be conscious in how you're communicating. You got to be conscious in how you're talking to somebody, who they are, what their background is. Nigga, because you might say something to a nigga that been in prison the last 20 years, and he might not take that the same way that your best friend might take it. Like I say all the time, calling a man a bitch is only for best friends and worst enemies. My best friend in the world, That nigga call my phone right now. What's up, bitch ass nigga? That's my best friend. Another nigga call my phone. If I say what's up, bitch ass nigga, that mean nigga pull up, nigga. It's gonna be violence when I see you. You know, same words, but completely different meaning based on the audience. You know, and again, you have to be conscious of that when you're doing that, because how you communicate is very important with who you're communicating to. And what you say, real spill therapy, cool, but I really believe therapists turn that information into somewhere that white people could use our trauma against us. And the thing is, like, that's the importance of having a black therapist. You know, that's the importance of, you know, in the black community, raising our kids to be more gauged towards effective places in society other than sports and entertainment. Like, everybody ain't meant to be a basketball player, football player, a baseball player, or a rapper or something like that. Like, nigga, we need to raise more doctors, more lawyers, more therapists, more psychologists, more psychiatrists, you know, shit, more carpenters, more plumbers, you know, more engineers, more contractors, like, you know, people who are in infrastructure, people who are in finance, you know, more CPAs, you know, more, you know, accountants and things like that. Like, you know, nigga, we should have more black therapists because, you know, in the black community, my nigga, like, we got a huge mental health problem. We got a lot of people running around this motherfucker with undiagnosed mental situations, my nigga. We got a lot of motherfuckers that literally self-diagnose. You know how many niggas run around this motherfucker talking about they got OCD, don't know what that shit is? You know how many bitches run around here calling their baby daddy a fucking narcissist and don't even know what that shit is? You know how many motherfuckers run around this motherfucker saying they bipolar or this nigga bipolar? We don't know what none of this shit mean, my nigga. Ain't none of us a therapist, but we run around diagnosing each other with all kind of shit because we need more actual, real, professional motherfuckers to talk to about our mental health, my nigga. Like, that shit is very important, my nigga. You know, so even if you do feel certain ways about therapy, like, nigga, that don't make it no less effective. Nigga, I personally don't trust doctors, but I know they effective. I don't trust motherfucking mechanics. Nigga, I hate mechanics. But at the end of the day, I understand their necessity because if my car fucked up, I gotta go to this punk ass motherfucker. Nigga, mechanics fuck you over like doctors do. My nigga, mechanics be scamming the fuck out of people. But I understand the necessity of them. Same with anything, my nigga. Anybody who has any power to help also has the power to use that help against you. But at the end of the day, that don't make it no less important. And what you say, 12 Kyle, where you from? That could be taken any number of ways depending on who you are and where you are. Exactly. That's a big one. Where you from? In Southern California? Nigga, you better find a different way to word that shit. Like, you can get your ass whooped asking niggas where they from. What's going on, squirrel? My auntie up in this motherfucker. Nigga, where you from? And get you fucked up in Southern California. Where if you meet a motherfucker on a college campus and you ask them where you from, they're like, oh man, I'm from Delaware. I'm from Dover. You know anybody in Dover, Delaware? Like, you ask a motherfucker where you from in North Dakota and shit, you know, it might be taken a certain way. Nigga, you might ask an Asian motherfucker where you from. They might get offended. Like, motherfucker, why? Nigga, you asking what if I'm from Korea, China? You asking if I'm from fucking Tokyo? Nigga, what the fuck you mean where I'm from? I'm asking where you from. Are you from the Bay Area, nigga? You from Frisco? Nigga, you from California? You know, where you from? You know, but again, like, that's the thing, you know, when it comes to effective communication, you got to understand who you're talking to when you're talking to people. You know, like, that's a fucking thing. And again, a lot of it is remaining conscious. You know, like, okay, when me personally, you know, like, I'm super big on asking, okay, where did I go wrong here? Like, if I'm having a disagreement with somebody, I always ask, like, what the fuck am I not saying? Sometimes I might say it out loud. Like, sometimes I might say it to the person I'm talking to. Like, what is it that I'm not saying that you're not understanding? Why is it that I'm trying to tell you this and you're hearing it like this? You know what I mean? Like, nigga, sometimes you genuinely got to ask a person, like, okay, What are you getting when I say this? What is it that you getting from this statement that I'm making that has your face twisted up like that? Or why is it that when I say this, you receive it as this? Like, again, like, you got to be conscious in the fact that you might have a different perspective than somebody. Like I say, nigga, when you talk to women, my nigga, women don't hear what we say the way that we hear it when we say it. They take that shit a completely different way. Same as, with two men talking, my nigga. Like 12 Cal said, my nigga, I might be from gang culture. So when you say, nigga, where you from, nigga, I take that shit as what said I'm from. So you like, hey man, where you from? And I'm like, I'm from Nutty Block Crip. And he like, what do you mean by that? I'm like, shit, nigga, that's where I'm from. You like, man, I was asking what city you was from. I was asking what nationality you was, nigga. You look like you're mixed with some shit. I'm like, well, motherfucker, you just asked where I was from. I ain't know what the fuck you meant when you said that shit. So that's the thing, when it comes to who you communicate with, like, you gotta ask, okay, how is this motherfucker gonna receive what I'm about to say? Like, sometimes, nigga, like, and this goes back to, like, why I don't answer my phone a lot. Like, when I communicate with people, sometimes with the understanding that this might be a volatile conversation. And this is something I learned, from the book Trump Style Negotiations. Donald Trump, I know y'all hate the motherfucker, but you could learn anything from anybody you pay enough attention to, my nigga. Even if you don't deem the motherfucker to be all that intelligent. But in the book Trump Style Negotiations, they say Donald Trump, when he's in a negotiation, he don't answer his phone because he don't want to talk on your time. He want to talk on his time. Meaning that I want to be completely prepared for us to exchange ideas. I don't want you to be able to catch me off guard and talk to me when I'm not in the right mental space to have this conversation. So I'll talk to you when I'm mentally ready to have this conversation. Like, this is something that, like, I've got into it with motherfuckers about this. But if I'm not in the right mental space to have a certain conversation, we're not going to have that conversation. I'll tell you straight up, nigga, I'm too drunk to talk about this shit. Or I'm having a fucked up day and I'm not ready to talk about this shit yet. Or I'll talk to you when I'm in a better mental space to talk about this. But nigga, I'm not even engaging you in certain conversations if I'm not mentally ready. And it is what it is. There's nothing wrong with telling the person we're at an emotionally heightened state right now. So maybe this isn't the right time to have this conversation because it might turn into an argument. Or we might end up saying something that we don't mean. Or we might end up saying something that we mean that we're not going to be able to take back. So let's have this conversation when we can become a little more tactful, when we can communicate a little bit more effectively. Because if we have this conversation right now, it's going to become an argument. If we have this conversation right now, it might turn into a fight. So let's wait until we in a better mental space and have this conversation a little bit later. Let's talk about this tomorrow after, I get this paint off my shoe or after, this t-shirt dry that you just spilled liquor on. Like, let's have this conversation tomorrow because right now, I just want to beat your ass. And I don't even want to talk to you right now because I'm going to slap the shit out of you. Like, it's nothing wrong with telling the motherfucker, like, we're going to revisit this shit later. And what you say, 12 Cal, sometimes to have a effective communication, you have to make a phone call. Things get misinterpreted with text messages. Exactly. And that's a thing too, my nigga. Like I said, when it comes to how you communicate, it's also important in when you communicate, what means of communication that you use. Because just like how you said, some shit got to be handled in a phone call, some shit got to be handled in person. Like me personally, I'm not a big fan of the phone. Like, because a lot of my friends are in different states and different places. And the easiest way to catch me is while I'm at work. I have to be on the phone, but I'm much bigger on communicating in person because I could get your body language in person. I could see your facial expression in person. I could see whether you sitting back, whether you leaning up, whether you looking all to the left and to the right, whether you distracted, whether you looking in your fucking phone while I'm talking to you, whether you're interested in what I'm saying or not. Some motherfuckers genuinely ain't paying attention to your ass. They just, yeah, yeah, that's crazy as a motherfucker. Man, I be saying the same thing. Yeah, I feel you. That's some real ass shit. They not fucking paying attention to your ass. They watching the game, my nigga. They don't give a fuck about what you talking about. That's why I like to look you in your fucking eyes and see what the fuck you on as we're having a fucking conversation. I like talking in person. I don't care to talk on the phone. But I'm cool with talking on the phone, if need be, if it's that important that we gotta have this conversation. But again, it all depends in the conversations that you're having, how important that conversation is. Nigga, some shit I'd rather have on a text message because genuinely I tell motherfuckers all the time, dog, like if it's something that you gotta say to me quick, don't call my phone. Like, if all you doing is telling me you gonna be there at 6, text that shit to me. I might be talking to somebody else. I might have some shit going on. I might be fucking busy. Like, nigga, everybody who's ever called my phone and I didn't answer, they all know my shit say, if it's important, leave a message or a text. Because, again, effective communication. If what you're saying is important, you can easily text me and say, hey, this is a life and death situation. Call me back as soon as possible. This shit is important. And I'll know, okay, cool. Let me call this motherfucker back because it's important. Because like I tell motherfuckers all the time, me, man, you know how many times motherfuckers done call my phone? I don't watch that motherfucker ring like I ain't give a fuck. And it's not that I don't think you're important or I don't think that what you finna say is important. But like I always say, nigga, it's men's mental health month, my nigga. In order for my own peace and sanity, nigga, sometimes I just be genuinely overwhelmed. Like I tell y'all, nigga, like any given time, I probably got about 30 or 40 unanswered DMs on Instagram. Sometimes 40 or 50, depending on the day. Nigga, sometimes I'll have a day where I might only talk to King Jern, or I might only talk to my coworker G, or I might talk to a particular female friend of mine, or something like that. I might talk to Mellow Yellow, nigga. 2 3 days later, nigga, I might have 9 or 10 fucking phone calls. I might be on the phone with one motherfucker, and it's another motherfucker on the other line calling, and then another motherfucker on the other. I might have 7 8 people calling me around the same time. So sometimes, like I be telling people, man, sometimes I just don't answer my phone. What's going on? My cousin Nisi up in this motherfucker. Hey, Nisi. Like, and again, like, nigga, just for my own mental health, just for my own peace of mind, I just be like, dog, if it's important, I prioritize it based on whether or not you left a message. I prioritize it whether or not you left, a text. Because sometimes niggas genuinely just calling to say what's up. They just calling to catch up. They just calling to check on you. They just calling to see how you doing that day, or if you're gonna be available to play basketball this weekend or something. I get to that when I get to it, but please don't take offense when I don't answer the phone, because sometimes I'm just not mentally ready for the conversations that you're trying to have right now. Whether it's important to you or not, my nigga, whether you think it's important to me or not, I just might not be ready for that, and that's okay. Like I tell people, like, when it comes to how you deal with other people, like, you got to understand everybody is living a life like you living a life. They got problems like you got problems. They got shit they got to handle like you got shit you got to handle. They dealing with tragedy like you dealing with tragedy, my nigga. Like a lot of people have main character syndrome. Like, when we went on the hike today, like we get to the top of the motherfucking mountain and shit, and I'm like looking down. And I'm just looking at everybody, and I'm like, nigga, everybody that I'm looking at is living their own full ass life, my nigga. Everybody on in them cars driving down the freeway is going somewhere, coming from somewhere. They got something going on. They got things that make them happy and things that make them sad. Like, they got some shit that's important. Like, everybody living a life. Same with your friends, my nigga. Same with people who call you. Same with people who you call. And like I always try to remain conscious of that when I call somebody and they don't answer. When I call somebody and they got a fucked up attitude. When I'm having a disagreement with somebody, when I'm having a debate with somebody. Like I gotta understand, nigga, they living a whole ass life like I am. So I can't have this mindset of how dare you not understand, or how dare you not feel like what I'm saying is as important as, like, it's not as important to you as it is to me. Like I feel like what I'm saying is the biggest shit in the world. You feel like what I'm saying is it's whatever. And it's like, people get offended when you don't take what they saying as serious as they take it. Because like I tell motherfuckers all the time, like just me and how I move and how I am as a person, my nigga. It's a lot of shit I just flat out don't give a fuck about. But I try to have the empathy in who I communicate with to make them feel as if what they saying is important, because I understand everything I say, I feel is motherfucking important. And if you just blow it off like it ain't shit, I probably just stop talking to your ass altogether. And it's not that, I wanted to minimize you or make you feel as if you're small or what you're saying is small. But again, nigga, I got a whole ass life I'm out here living, just like you do. That's why I tell motherfuckers about like empathy. Like the reason that I don't feel empathy or sympathy for a lot of motherfuckers is because just like how you think your life hard, nigga, you think mine wasn't. I could match every fucking sob story your ass got, my nigga. So when certain people are going through certain things and they call me and, oh my God, my life is so hard. I'm like, so shit, nigga, you ain't went through nothing I ain't went through. You ain't crossing no bridge I ain't crossed, my nigga. So cross that motherfucker and keep it pushing. What's going on, Cloud9 Black? What you say, Baylor? Simple math. Learn how to be selfish in the healthiest way possible. Exactly. And I got whole episodes about that shit. Like, nigga, it's okay to tell a person that I don't have the energy for that right now. I don't have the time for that right now. I'm not mentally ready for that right now. It's okay to not be mentally ready to have a certain conversation, my nigga. Nigga, I just say dinner, my nigga. I don't want to talk about this life-changing shit right now. Let's talk about this shit tomorrow in the morning when I'm in a better mental space. Like motherfuckers always want to catch you at the wrong fucking time to have a conversation. And like I said, nigga, in that book, Trump Style Negotiations, he said, nigga, you answer your phone or you call them back when you're ready to have the conversation. I'm not ready to negotiate right now. I'm getting some head. Like I'm not in the right mental space to have this conversation, my nigga. I'm over here talking to this girl and she's this close to give me some coochie. I don't want to fucking talk about your son's fucking math problems that he can't figure out. Google that shit, bitch. Go get a fucking calculator. I don't want to talk about that shit right now. I'm over here handling this shit over here. There's nothing wrong with that, my nigga. Like I be telling motherfuckers, like, nigga, I don't like to feel mentally overwhelmed. Like, especially just the life that I personally live. Because, like I tell people, nigga, I don't be mad at people for being busy because I'm busy. We all got a life to live. When I call somebody phone and they don't answer, motherfucker, oh, I'm sorry I didn't answer the phone. Don't apologize. You a grown ass motherfucker. You living your life. I'm not mad at you for not answering your fucking phone. You got important things to handle. So, no hard feelings. Just like I said, my nigga, sometimes I have disagreements with people. Sometimes I have miscommunications with people. Sometimes people do things that's good for them and it might not have been so good for me. And women who I've dealt with, friends who I have, people who know me know. I tell motherfuckers a lot. Don't apologize. Motherfuckers, oh, I'm sorry, I fell asleep. Don't apologize. Fuck you apologize for falling asleep for. You're a fucking human. You need sleep. Don't apologize for falling asleep, nigga. You fell asleep. Nigga, shit, nigga, you probably had a long fucking day. Oh, I'm sorry, I stood you up. Don't apologize. Like, I get it. You probably had a busy ass day. You had a lot going on because I do the same shit. I might have had something that, I might have told you I was gonna do, but nigga, I had a lot going on that day. Same with this fucking show, my nigga. Like, I want to do this bitch every Sunday. Preferably, I wish I could do this motherfucker at 2:30 p.m. every Sunday. So y'all don't gotta miss football, the Super Bowl, basketball. None of that shit. Nigga, I wish that I could do this show at a time where everybody in my audience is sitting there ready to receive the game. But that's not my life, my nigga. I'm busy. I got a lot of shit going on. Nigga, I woke up this morning, took a fucking hike, went to brunch, came home, took a shower, took a nap, was on the phone for a little while. Like, nigga, I be having a lot of shit going on. I might have to go to Hollywood right after I turn this motherfucking microphone off. Maybe. Depends on how I'm feeling. But again, like as a busy person, I understand. That's why I tell motherfuckers, nigga, please don't apologize for living your fucking life. If you fell asleep, that's cool because you a grown ass motherfucker. You got a busy, you got kids, you got obligations. Do your shit. Same with communication, my nigga. If you didn't understand what I said, let me do the best that I can to communicate myself more effectively. Let me try to come to an understanding on why you're not getting what I'm trying to say. Let me listen to you more thoroughly to understand why you might not be catching what I'm trying to say. Maybe I didn't catch what you was trying to say. Maybe I misunderstood you, and that's why we're at a breakdown because you're trying to say something to me that I'm not getting. So the reason that I'm saying what I'm saying is because I didn't understand what you said. And that's why we're having a fucking breakdown. But again, it's all in you being conscious in how you communicate. It's all in you being conscious in why you're having the conversation. Why are we even talking about this? Because that's important too, my nigga. Sometimes we're having this conversation because we're at a miscommunication, because you receive misinformation, or maybe because I was misinformed. Like I tell motherfuckers, nigga, I'm not above, realizing that I'm moving based on something that I didn't know. I'm moving in ignorance. I'm over here about to cuss you the fuck out because I ain't understand that the person who told me what they told me while I came and approached you, they lying. That's why sometimes, like I tell people, like, you always gotta think before you crash out. Like, like in the Bible say, with all you get understanding. Like I always do the best that I can to have an understanding in everything that I do. So if I have to do something or lay down a demo or get into a disagreement with somebody or altercation with somebody, I always have as much information as I can before I move. Because I would hate to get into a situation where I do something that I can't undo. I say something that I can't take back. I make a move that I can't reverse. And I made that move in error because I misunderstood something. I didn't have the correct information. Motherfuckers done lost whole relationships behind the miscommunication, behind somebody lied or somebody said something incorrectly, or they didn't like somebody's tone, or they didn't like somebody's vibe. And like I say all the time, my nigga, like, nigga, sometimes you base the person's attitude on a temporary mood. You caught somebody at the wrong time of day. You caught somebody in the wrong mood. You caught somebody at the wrong time. Like I say, if I'm in a fucked up mood, it's certain conversations I might not want to have. I might not answer my phone because my mood fucked up. And sometimes depending on, the importance of what you're trying to say to me, like I might genuinely text you back like, this just not a good time right now. And you like, oh man, I just want to tell you how I scored the winning touchdown. Oh man, congratulations on that touchdown, man. I'll call you tomorrow about it. And I might not be super busy. I just might not be mentally ready to have that conversation. Like, like again, it's men's mental health month, my nigga. When it come to your mental health, like normalize just taking some time for yourself. Like normalize just taking some time to not be bothered. Like it's nothing wrong with not wanting to be bothered sometimes, my nigga. Like it's flattering to be highly sought after. Like it's cool when a lot of people want your time. They want your company. Like they want to be around you, or they want to talk to you or have, a piece of you. But nigga, sometimes that shit gets overwhelming. So like it's okay sometimes to be like, nigga, today I'm just gonna go home and just listen to my music. Or today I'm just gonna sit in my car and just vibe the fuck out. Or I'm gonna just play PlayStation all day. or I'm gonna just eat some fucking ice cream, or I'm gonna just call and talk to my mom, or talk to my dad, or talk to my best friend, or today I'm just gonna I'm just gonna have a little nap day. Like that's okay, my nigga, because again, it's not therapy, but it's therapeutic, my nigga. Like sometimes you need your outlet. And that shit is okay, my nigga. Like I tell motherfuckers, like I don't get offended because I understand. And again, when it comes to conscious and effective communication, the number one thing in all communication is understanding, my nigga. Whether it's them understanding what you trying to say or you understanding what they trying to say. Both are just as fucking important, my nigga. Like that's my whole thing with everything in life, my nigga. Like everybody who knows me know that I'm not gonna say it like that, but I've been told that I'm a good listener. I can't say everybody know I'm a good listener because I don't know I'm a good listener. All I know is what I'm told. I can only operate on the information that I'm given. But at the same time, nigga, the reason that I go out of my way to be a good listener, why people consider me to be a good listener, is because I genuinely want to understand. I want to know why you said what you said. I want to know why you said that, how you said that, so I could effectively communicate whatever my response may be, so I can correctly move through life with that understanding. I like to understand who the fuck I'm dealing with as friends, as people I'm in relationships with, as people who I'm cool with, and all that shit. Like, I want to know, like, you know, okay, this is why he's saying that, because he having a fucked up day. So let me approach how I communicate with him, how I deal with him, how I talk to him based on the understanding that he's having a fucked up day. Or I don't fuck with this motherfucker with the understanding that they don't fuck with me. They don't like me. Me and a person that they don't fuck with is tight. I got a good relationship with somebody who they got a bad relationship with. So they don't fuck with me because I'm cool with this motherfucker. I understand that. I can move a certain way. Like, nigga, a lot of us would move a lot better. We move a lot more effectively. We communicate a lot more effectively if we understood more effectively. If we took a more active role in listening, if we took a more active role in understanding, making sure that both parties in any interaction understood what the other party was trying to convey when they say what they say, when they do what they do, when they move how they move. Because again, like they say in the Bible, my nigga, with all that you're getting, get understanding. And that's what communication is about. That's what conscious communication is about. Getting an understanding and giving an understanding. Making sure the person that you're talking to understands where you're coming from. Making sure you understand where they're coming from so you can communicate effectively with them. And I'm going to drop the mic on that shit. This has been your host, Uncle Dolemite, of the Too Much Game Podcast, live from the sanctuary once again. If you would like to support me financially, you can get the merchandise at toomuchgamepodcast.store. TOO muchgamepodcast.store. Get you one of these motherfucking Love is a STD t-shirts and shit, nigga. These motherfuckers fly. You know they fly, nigga. Or you can cash at me directly. $Uncle Dolemite on Cash App, Uncle Dolemite. Send a nigga $1 or something, my nigga. If you thought the show was good, nigga, send me $1 and say good show or some shit, my nigga. I can use the money. Support the motherfucking squad, Townhouse Media, Town E House Media. Sports for You, Sports number 4 letter U podcast. Sports for You Wrestling, Sports number 4 letter U Wrestling podcast. John Watson, Nick Freeze, my nigga Mark Shrell on the Wrestling podcast. Support all the podcasts, all the homies that be in the comment section. 12 Cal, the 12 Cal podcast, Rap Soul podcast, Baylor, BTG for President podcast, Open Run with BTG. shanbepoddin.com, ChanBepoddin.com. King Germ, Pod and Saved Our Marriage, Real Spill podcast on motherfucking YouTube. Rodis from the Rodis Live podcast, Heaven from the Heavens World podcast, Brit, I could talk about this all day podcast. Fort and Ill, Cool Out Corner, whenever the fuck they come back. Smash, I'll explain all this later. Hustle and Heal podcast with Styles. The Brunch Hour podcast. It's too many, my nigga. It's a gang up, nigga. If I forgot, blame my head, not my heart, my nigga. Y'all all the homies. Follow me on social media at Uncle Dolemite, Uncle Dolemite on everything. Yo mama boyfriend on TikTok. Like, comment, subscribe first and foremost on YouTube. Uncle Dolemite for the comedy. Too Much Game podcast. Your ass probably already here, but shout out to it anyway. But that's it. I ain't here to help you get bitches. I'm here to help you get better. Too Much Game.